Strategies. I'm joined by Deadwood Jedi. Deadwood, what's up, man? How you doing? Good morning.
I'm doing great, brother. Good to be here. Good to be seen. Good to see you.
That's something your mum doesn't know. Yeah.
Good to be seen, good to be heard. We have the clan bosses today. Hydra Clan Boss is funny. I had a collab with, I think, Hades last week, and he's like, so what do you plan on doing for the Hydra Clan Boss, Ash? And I'm like, I plan on getting Deadwood Jedi on, is what I plan on doing, you know?
Oh, jeez.
I'm too old for this.
So I've been having my eyes peeled to your YouTube channel. All my subscribers, all my viewers right now should check out Deadwood's YouTube channel, his website as well. Everything will be linked for you guys. And I have noticed you have not uploaded anything on Hydra yet. It's like 3 days in at the time of this recording. So obviously there's a ways to go in terms of having that refined strategy, but I wanted to get your early take on a bunch of things. Hydra Clan Boss. So let's kind of start there. I'm sure that your website and your YouTube channel will be littered with, in a good way, littered with Hydra, probably a bad adjective, littered with Hydra Clan Boss stuff in the future. But what is your first take on Hydra Clan Boss? Like, what are your first impressions?
My first impressions, it's a how do I say this without cursing? It's sort of the word. It's frustrating, right? Like it's a tough fight, man.
Yeah.
This one is not easy. This is not early game. This is not mid game accessible. This is a really end game kind of clan boss, which I don't have any problems with, right? Like you need different content for the different stages of the game, something to work yourself up towards. Boy, it's rough. It's real rough. And when you start talking about, hey, you got to get, you can't use the same champion twice. That only makes it harder, which I think is a fun little challenge, honestly. Like one of the things I love about the Demon Lord clan boss is the puzzle. How do you take 5 champions and make the perfect team out of them and their skills? Well, now you're doing that with 6 champions. We also got 6 different enemies, right? All these different heads doing their own different thing, and they are a pain in the butt. And so, trying to figure out the best squads, the best ways to go. That it's difficult for sure. But I've seen more than a few little examples out there. There's a lot of different ways I think that you can approach this, and we're like literally learning every single day, right? I've been last couple of days. I've done nothing but run this. And I haven't used any of my keys. I keep refreshing because I'm like, okay, well, this isn't quite right.
At least they had that in there, right?
No, I think that's actually a wonderful thing, a great tool for everybody. And I think that's what we should be doing, right? We have these 3 keys for a full week. You don't got to use them all on day 1, right? So, I mean, you can take a little time. So, I think I'm excited about it. I would say the one negative thing is it does not lend itself to speed tuning like we've done with the Demon Lord clan boss. And the problem with that is that you can't really just auto it. And so you are really kind of forced to either roll with the RNG, which can vary very wildly, or you gotta really just be on top of it and you're manualing it. Even if you're not manualing it, you're still auto clicking who's going to be attacking where and that sort of thing. So there's definitely some negatives to it. It's again not how I would have implemented it, but it's still, a very fun challenge. Yeah, there's so many options really for champions you can use in this thing.
Yeah, I'm just gonna throw anything randomly in the background so we can have something.
I'm just gonna throw anything randomly in the background.
When I'm gone, when I'm gone, when I'm gone, you're gonna miss me.
I agree with you on most of your takes there. I do think the 18 champions or whatever, and I think there's like some sort of a way to avoid that right now in the game using the sparring pit or something. People like tweeted me about that, but I'm sure that will be fixed. So I hesitate even sharing that because I'm sure it will just be fixed and it's a bug. But overall, man, 18 champions is not very accessible, right? It's like, it's so difficult, it seems to be. And then you can't just have one team. You need 3 teams, man. That's the worst part to me in terms of like the only thing that's like my biggest negative, I guess, is like, boy, does that box out a lot of players. Because even on my free-to-play account, I only have like 6 champions built, so I got a ways to go. But
no, 100%. I think that is the one of the biggest negatives to this is it's not accessible to people. This is end game content.
It is.
This is harder than Doom Tower, right?
Yeah.
Like you're trying to put Doom Tower builds on these champions for these bosses with 18 of them. It's definitely very challenging.
So before we talk about individual champions, Deadwood, I want to kind of get your take on, obviously, speed tuning. It seems like not possible as of yet. It seems like unkillable, probably not possible as of yet, unless I stand corrected there. So, you know, it seems like Plarium took a look at all the popular strategies used for the last couple years on the regular Demon Lord Clan boss, and they're like, okay, let's take away all of that and make them do other stuff, right? Which can be good and it can be bad. So is there going to be, you know, you kind of just answered this question already. Do you think that everything's going to be manual on Hydra in order to actually get really good scores and optimize your team?
100%. I just don't see a way around that.
What should you be focused on manual? Like what heads, like what is your general strategy? Are you going after? Yeah.
I'm so glad you brought that. I don't even think about talking about this stuff half the time. But yeah, I think the biggest thing is just focus where your focus is, right? Which head you're going for, how you're attacking them. And the biggest thing is when they swallow your champion, don't let them swallow your champion, right?
So anyway, like, if you're sad, don't be sad.
That is a guaranteed champion gone, can't revive them. Nothing's good going to come out of it. So
stuck in
for
the
me,
belly.
Yeah, and like that's literally the only reason that is the one skill, the one thing that these heads do where I'm like, this is why I can't put it on full auto, because I have to focus down that head that has that has swallowed that champion. That's really the only thing. The shield it's cool to be able to take it down, but really all it is like, okay, well, for a few turns I can't really do a lot of damage to this guy. That's okay. It's not something I need to focus on. There's 4 heads. I can focus on the other 3, right? So I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
The problem is when they swallow one of your guys, and that's where you got to really focus in and take them down so your champion comes back alive. Because, you know, I've done runs where, you know, I've lasted 120, 130 turns, and I don't think that's unusual.
Yeah,
but
a lot
I've
of
also
turns. A lot of turns on this one, you know? That's the first thing you notice, I feel like, right? It's like, wow, I'm not doing a lot of damage. I'm on turn count 14. Only done 1 million damage, you know? And I just put random champions on this team, so don't read into this, guys, viewers. But because I used all my good champions on my first run, you know? But, okay, so priorities going into a Hydra Clan boss, starting with, like, the basics here. You know, you just talked about one of them, making sure that you kill the Hydra that ate your champion, right? Other than that, what are you trying to do every Hydra Clan boss? Like, where's your focus?
Well, right now my focus is trying to find ways to do damage without bringing in, you know, it's that combination, just like any other part of this game. How do I do lots of damage and stay alive?
Yeah.
You know, that's really the balance. So, you know, you need a mixture of healing. You need a mixture of protections and buffs. You also need a mixture of damage dealers and debuffs. And so trying to balance those things out is tricky. Now, they all take a lot less damage from things like poisons, but if you're throwing out a bunch of AoE poisons, like I've used Tomb Lord, he's very effective. That can be really great. If you can put out things like decreased speed, I was using Mother Cybele. Very effective. You know, you need some AoE champions because, you know, that head of mischief over there is like the most annoying thing in the world. And you can't target it most of the time without Hex. So because of that, AoE damage dealers are important. But you also need single target damage dealers because when they swallow one of your champions, you got to take them out. But obviously the most annoying thing is the fear from the head of Torment, I think it is. I can't remember.
Yep, Torment.
Yeah. And you know, that fear, that true fear proc is easily the most debilitating debuff you're going to get. So you have to deal with that. And right now, like just very simply, that means Inquisitor Shamail.
Yes.
There really is no replacement for him. There's nobody that does his job anywhere near as good. You can use other champions, right? Like you can always use Doom Priests or Cleansers to Hanorok. You can always use champions like you know, Rector Drath or Duchess, give you some AoE Perfect Veil to help with that. But honestly, yeah, Ishmael is the one. Inquisitor Shamail, excuse me. I just built the second one, honestly, because I just realized every run I was doing, I had them in there. And I was like, this is the only way this is going to be successful.
3 of these guys eventually. I wonder if I think I probably have 2. I think that's a good call. I haven't even built my first one because I just haven't, but now I'm going to, obviously. But it's So, okay, so we need to deal with the head of Torment first and foremost. So if you don't have Shamail built, then look into bringing a champion, a cleanser like a Doom Priest or
it's
Tawana
really your only option when you get fears and true fears. That's basically because 50% chance to proc every time. Half your skills are going out the window. That's just not sustainable. No matter what skills they are you're trying to do, you have to be able to deal with that fear and true fear. And honestly, when I first saw that was going to be one of the skills that these heads were doing, I knew immediately speed tuning this is going to be incredibly difficult, if not impossible, because of that 50-50 shot of that happening and the way that completely debilitates your team. You did ask, can we do an unkillable team? Can we, do stuff like that?
Yeah. What's your head at?
My understanding is block damage and unkillable still works as skills. So
how do you...
Will you let me talk?
The hard part is getting the timing down, keeping those up. When you have the mischief head stealing buffs, well, that's going to be a problem, right? When you have fears and true fears throwing off the timing, that's going to be a problem too. In theory, all this is, of course, is speed tunable, especially if you have a champion like Shamail who's going to instantly remove those fears. But when you have a champion like Shamail, other things happen. You get turn meter boosts in your team, so it can be a little bit difficult. That said, it doesn't mean that you can't tune. You can still tune your team just so that you're in relation with each other, right? So your champion speeds are in relation to each other, so the champion that's going to place decreased defense is going before the champion that does the biggest hit, right? That sort of thing can be helpful for you, but it is going to be a little tricky, to be honest. And I don't know, the math needed to do that are a little bit more,
right?
More
We'll see
master level rather than a bachelor degree level, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't have either degree, so it's going to be a bit challenging.
If there's a way, I feel like somebody will figure that out, and then you'll put it on your website. So good for people to bookmark that, right? So okay, so first order of business is having some way to deal with the true fears, right? Shamail has it. We talked about other options. Let's go back to the point you just made about finding that balance of offense and defense on your team. Where's your head at right now? Again, I just want to reiterate, these are the early days, guys, so this could be subject to change in a few weeks or a few months or a few days even. But right now, it does seem like survivability is a bit better, on the Hydra Clan Boss. We're lasting way longer into the fight. So I'm seeing more players go in the direction of maybe adding that second or even third damage dealer and having like 2, 3, or 4 supports on the team. Is that kind of where your head is at as well? Or what is your philosophy early on here in terms of how much damage should you be having and how much support?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty safe way to do it. We have 6 champions, right? So I'm looking at things in terms of 2. I want 2 champions that can do single target damage. So if either one gets swallowed, the other one can pop them out.
Okay.
I want at least 2 champions that are doing, solid AoE damage. So if one goes down, I still have one person getting me that. That's kind of my general outlook with some of this stuff. It's a balance though, but yeah, right now I've been looking a lot more. I've been looking, nature of what we do. I've been looking a lot more epics and rare champions to be able to use in this as opposed to legendary champions.
What are some of your favorites? What are some of your faves there?
There's quite a few. Obviously, Shamail, right? But Ugo is incredibly good, especially with that head of mischief. Being able to place block buffs is incredibly valuable when this guy's stealing buffs and trying to spread them around. So that's definitely a champion that I've been really impressed with. Even champions like Urogrim are really good. Now, I think we maybe should take a second and just mention about this head of mischief. Super important, because head of mischief steals your buffs and then will spread those to the other heads. So there's some things they actually don't want to bring in, I found, like block debuffs, counterattack, right? These are buffs that, while they're incredibly good when you have them on your team, the last thing you want are these things on the other heads, right? So unless you're bringing in somebody that can strip the buffs from the enemy, like a Thessalia, maybe even a Madame Ceres, who I think both of them would be fantastic for this. You got to be really careful about that, right? You got to be real careful. Like I had a Valkyrie and a Brogni in my first run at this, and I was like, it was successful, fine. It was on the normal difficulty, but I could see instantly, I was like, oh, this is going to be a problem, right? Like, oh, they're going to steal all the good buffs and put them on themselves. Like, that's an issue. So that's one of the things I would definitely, keep in mind as a consideration. So I've actually been working a lot with not bringing in buffs. So champions like Urogrim, who has AoE poison, right? Also has healing, including continuous heal, there's pros and cons to that. When you spread continuous heal on the enemy, well, they're going to heal up.
Yep.
Right. So you gotta balance that. One of the champions I've been liking actually is Godseeker Neri. Not only do you get the revive, not only can she deal damage, but she has healing not reliant upon that continuous heal buff. Ursula the Mourner is another really good option. She brings a strengthen, increased defense, an AoE decreased attack, and a revive to her kit. There's a lot to like there. I think there's a ton of really good champions. I'm actually excited to try out Suwai Firstborn. She's got that AoE decreased attack. She also has decreased defense and weaken, right? Single target, but still available. I'm interested to see what somebody like Skullcrown and Sinesha can do as a pairing, since they have those double hits on the A1s. It's AoE. I feel like there's a lot of potential with that. There's a lot of really good ways I think that you can go about, and a lot of interesting champions that we're going to be looking at fresh that we haven't really spent that time really looking at and saying, hey, could this champion be good for this stuff? And we're really just scratching the surface. One of the champions I
love the Sinesha Skullcrown call out, because we're not used to talking about champions like this in Clan Boss. It almost feels wrong even saying their names, but you're right. You know, there is a lot of synergy that seems to be on the AoEs and the heals on both these champions.
Exactly. I'm spoiling my secret weapons here, but I feel like
we appreciate it, Deadwood. This is why everybody should go give him some love on the YouTube right now.
One of the champions absolutely everybody should be checking out though is Mordecai. I think he's going to be one of the like budget level MVPs for this. The reason why is he is, with a Night Revenant, he's got an AoE HP burn, and he's got a ton of turn meter boost in his kit. So not only is he, burning the enemy, but he's making your team faster in the process, and just really, really good. There's a lot of, there's so many champions that really haven't even been able to scratch the surface on, because, this has only been out for like a day or two.
Hey, what is Mordecai?
But I'm excited to see.
Where the heck is Mordecai? He's
a Night Revenant.
He is?
Yeah.
Am I just blind? Am I just
blind?
Oh,
no, you know what?
No.
I think he's Sacred Order. I'm sorry.
Sacred
That's
Order.
my bad.
I'm looking at
Sacred
Demon
Order.
Spawn. Like, obviously he's not a Demon Spawn, Ash. What are you talking about, bro? Sacred Order.
He's got all those rags on his face.
Where is he? I know, right? You're right. He is Secret Order. You're right. There he is. There he
is. Yeah.
That's great, though. He has the AoE HP burn. He's got the turn meter fill as well. So good call out there as well.
I'm a huge fan of him,
Yeah.
We're going to be going back to champions like Tyrell. What'd you say?
Yeah. I was gonna ask what's the most damage that you've seen so far? Anybody pull off on the lowest difficulty,
I've seen screenshots of 35 million. I don't know how that happened. Yeah.
I've seen one of like 51, I think. 51.
51? There you go.
And it was using he was using Geomancer. I'm not sure if
oh, really?
I forgot the rest of the team, honestly, but
it would make sense if you get like a debuff spread kind of situation going. I could see that being really effective, right? Sure.
Yeah. But that was that outlier. After that, it's been like around same numbers. Like, let's see, around maybe like 30 million. The highest in my clan is 21 million. And I'm right there at 19, right below it. So I think 18 or 19 has been the tops in my clan as well. Yeah. I think there's just so many. It's so early on. I don't know. No, I think you've given us a lot to think about here, though. Like even talking about different strategies and different heads and kind of how to tackle those. I'm kind of right now just trial and error, like not even thinking too much about what champions I add, just trying different combos and seeing how much damage I can deal, and then looking for the weak link, and then try to replace that with another champion, which probably is not the best way to do it. But what about ally attack? Do you think ally attack is I'm seeing people
I think ally attack can be extremely valuable, right? Anytime you can get more swipes at the cherry tree, I say take it. Like yeah, for sure, that can be good. It all comes down to how long you can survive, how well you can do that, and how much damage can you deal within that time frame. So there's champions like like I was using Tomb Lord. One of the great things about Tomb Lord, he puts up 4 debuffs, 6 debuffs on everybody. So I was like, well, what if I bring Draco in with him? That can be pretty effective. It's pretty effective. Who's really good? Mashald. Mashald is amazing.
Okay.
But I also had to realize, I got to disable his A3. I need him to just do the AoE leech hit as much as possible. Keep that going, right? There's a lot to kind of. I've even played with Lydia in here. There's so many possibilities right now.
There really is.
And so it's going to be interesting to kind of see. I do think that if you can have like 2 towers that could be an incredibly strong combination right there. You know, being able to keep, you know, block damage up. That's such a strong ability. Anybody has Kyoku, I'm super jealous. Like, she's going to be amazing for this, right?
I saw somebody in my clan had her. But yeah, okay, so very interesting. So kind of mixing, just playing around with different strategies. Even if you can't make an unkillable team, you know, via block damage or via unkillable, obviously, you can still benefit greatly, you know, from having these buffs on, even if they're not on all the time. So it's really going to be interesting to see how things play out, man. What do you think? I guess final question on this is, what do you think about like high resist teams, or maybe some unorthodox strategies, bomb teams, stuff like that? We haven't talked much about Hex either. So bombs, Hex, and high resist, which obviously Hex is kind of obvious, right? Like, it's good,
right?
But you know, are you interested in either of those trio, or any champions of those categories that you're kind of looking at?
Well, let's see. I don't have any AoE Hex champions. I think I have Ruel, the Huntsman. I haven't really tried him yet. But
me neither yet. But he seems to be. He should be good, right?
Hex is good, right? I think, you know, taking that Head of Mischief and trying to attack them is good, but literally all that Hex does is allows you to target him. So it's not like it's, you know, gonna really game change it for you. Because again, just one head, there's ways to deal with it. So I don't know that Hex is like a game-changing ability, but Hex is good. You know, if you can land any of the champions to work with it, it's just within a full team, does that work for you? So that's just something you gotta kind of evaluate. I'm a little bit undecided on that, I would say right now. I'm not saying that that's really the way to go at the moment. I feel like with some of the new champions that just came out, I feel like there is some, you know, potential for some synergy there. As far as bombs, it's ironic you brought that up. I literally was just trying War Mother right before we started this.
The War Mother.
Bombs are not great, I would say. Not great, not great.
Come on, dude.
You know, and it was a real brief test. So it's very possible I'm a little bit wrong on that. I don't want to discourage anybody from giving it a shot.
No, I tried Soul Drinker, and I was similarly incredibly under impressed in the overall damage. Like, it didn't really impact anything, and I was like, that sucks, because I was really hoping that, you know, that would be
this would be
the key,
a thing to use here. Yeah,
man.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great, but it's sadly not.
Bombs like that square peg that I'm always trying to stick into that round hole. But bombs are gonna work against this boss, and it never works, dude. It never works. All right, so last thought here.
High resist teams. That was the one you were saying. High resist. I think there's potential to it. The difficulty with this, it's just like Doom Tower, right? It's very hard to build champions that can do everything. You can't build accuracy, resistance, speed, and damage. You just can't do all of those things. So that becomes a challenge here. The other part is there's unresistible debuffs. True. And as soon as you put that into a boss, and this is one of my issues with the Hydra boss, as soon as you do that, you all of a sudden say, well, you know, you have to make that choice. Is it worth resisting the other debuffs? Because honestly, I don't care about weaken landing on my champions, and that's really the only thing that's really happening here. I don't know that it's really worth building a resistance team, honestly. The fear and true fear is the big problem, and you have to deal with that anyway. So I don't know that building resistance for the other trash debuffs is really going to be, at least with this rotation, right? When you get to the provoke, when you get to some other things, maybe that becomes a little bit more viable. But, you know, from what I can see,
forgot there's other rotations. I'm like, wait a second.
There's other rotations,
yeah. So once we figure this out, you're telling me it's going to get even more complicated. Oh, fantastic. Well, hey, man, I'm going to go ahead and rebuild my Tomb Lord, right? That's one thing I'm going to take away from this video. And you know, thank you so much for coming on. I'm a little limited on time on my part, because I would love to talk to you for like an hour on Hydra Clan Boss, but we have to wrap it here. Big shout out again, Deadwood. Anything that you want to that we should mention that I missed?
Not really. You know, if you guys are building these teams, one of the things, especially if you're early level, if you don't have the crazy champions to do crazy individual damage, focus on your HP burn. It's a really great way to do damage to these heads. Poisons can be successful. Ninja is phenomenal for this. Absolutely phenomenal. Otherwise, guys, check out the raid awards. They're coming in mid-December. I've put together a pretty fun little thing. I think you guys are going to really like. I've been focused on that a lot lately. And thanks for having me on, man. Always a pleasure chatting with you, buddy.
One of my favorite guests to have on. I always learn so much, and I know my viewers feel the same. So it's a pleasure. The pleasure is all mine, man. Thank you so much for making the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right, guys, check out all of Deadwood Jedi's information, his Twitter, his Twitch, his YouTube, his website, everything I can find on this guy will be for you guys in the show notes below. Thank you so much for watching all the way till the end. Let us know your thoughts on Hydra Clan Boss. What teams are you using? What champions are you having success with? Maybe some champions that we didn't mention in today's video. Thanks, and as always, take care, guys.